Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome to another edition of the NXT UK recap show right here on FightfulSelect.com. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes. So glad that you have taken the time out of your busy schedule to listen to me talk about the brand new, it's not as brand new as it once was, but still the newest wrestling brand coming to us from WWE, set up over in the UK. We are just a couple of days away, 2 days removed from the very first takeover, NXT UK takeover Blackpool to be exact. So that's exciting. At the end of the show, I'll go over some of my predictions, give you a mindset as to, or at least an idea as to what's going on in Warren Hayes' brain as far as the show goes. Hope everyone's having a great day, because we are going to recap the last two episodes of NXT UK before we actually get into Blackpool this weekend. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But before we do, talk about some NXT news and tidbits. Charlotte Flair tweeted out that she is on her way to NXT UK Blackpool. She said she's going to be there on location. Probably just a face in the crowd. Probably. Maybe. We'll see. When NXT, when we see our own NXT, our typical, our North American NXTs, sometimes you get the faces in the crowds, right? Some NXT alumni, so on and so forth. So, raise up the star power, the prestige of the event. Get your main roster folks over there. Sure, why not? Today on January 10, WWE announced a special Worlds Collide tournament that will be taking place at the Royal Rumble Access event on January 26th and 27th. The tournament is going to feature superstars from NXT, NXT UK, and 205 Live, with the winner receiving a future title shot for their respective brand. On any brand, I should say. So they can pick wherever they can pick their championship and just go for it. Man, that kind of sucks that I'm not there. It kind of sucks, doesn't it? They even announced the participants. From NXT, we're going to get Adam Cole, Velveteen Dream, Dominic Dijakovic. Man, it's still terrible. Keith Lee and Otis Dozovic from NXT. From 205 Live, we got Cedric Alexander, Humberto Carrillo, Tony Nese, Drew Gulak, and TJP. And from NXT UK, Mark Andrews, Tyler Bate, Travis Banks, Jordan Devlin, and Zach Gibson. Are you kidding me? Man, I hope one of the UK guys wins. I'm partial. I think I'm partial. But, you never know. So that's going to be happening in just a couple of weeks. So that's cool. That's some interesting news. Pete Dunne says the Bruiserweight nickname used to be, or was supposed to be, a joke, which is funny. On an interview that he gave recently on the Edge and Christian ENC Pod of Awesomeness, he said, quote, "Well, honestly, that one was a bit of a joke to start with. So I was in the process. I stripped everything back. I said, right, I'm just going to wear plain black gear and I'm just going to go out and wrestle British style and then figure it out as I go." And I ended up on a tour in China. Was there for 5 weeks, which was a surreal experience in itself. And some nights we were wrestling in front of 2 people. Some nights it was 20 people. Some nights it was 200 people. It was as big as it got, but we were wrestling every single game there, every single day, excuse me. And there was a guy there named John Schuyler, and we found ourselves in a tag team and we needed a name. We goofed around about it, and it was about the time to that the 205 and cruiserweights came in and it was a joke. So we called ourselves the Bruiserweights and put it on social media and never expected anything more to come out of it. It's pretty funny. And he said that UK promoter Andy Quildan, who runs Rev Pro, messaged me and said, "Look, I'm really interested in this Bruiserweight thing you've been doing." So he wanted to book it. That's pretty funny. You can read the entire report, of course, over on Fightful.com. And don't forget, after Takeover Blackpool this Saturday, I am going to be hopping onto Fightful.com, leaving the gated countryside of Fightful Select and heading over into the wildlands of Fightful.com, because I'm going to be doing the post show for Takeover Blackpool, and I'm going to be joined by Kristen Ashley, who is a Fightful contributor, and also the editor-in-chief of Diva Dirt. She's going to be joining me. It's going to be a two-person affair. Going to be fantastic. Hope you join us. It'll be immediately after the show, as is the tradition, n'est-ce pas, of the way we do things at Fightful. Always immediately after the show, we do the post show. There's also another thing that you have to keep in mind and don't sleep on is going to be this Nigel McGuinness documentary that they're presenting immediately after Takeover Blackpool. You can wait to watch that. You come to the Fightful post show, then you go back on the network, and then you watch it on demand. That's going to be a heck of a story. Can't wait. That's definitely one that I'm really interested in, because you know what? The thing with Nigel McGuinness is that he had a reputation being a fantastic worker. It's a shame that he had to cut his career short, but to me, listening to his color and what he does, he reminds me, he's a modern day Mike Tenay. Mike Tenay in the 90s, when I was watching wrestling and was catching WCW, to me, Tenay was quintessential in my during these formative years in helping me understand the moves and the techniques that were being used in the ring, just naming the moves, right? Like it helped you understand that there was more to what we were watching than just a couple of guys flailing at each other. And it was a whole technique and an entire art form to it, to a certain extent. I know some people don't like it when you use the word art form when speaking about professional wrestling, but that, I use it. I think it's appropriate. So I find that Nigel McGuinness fills this spot in this modern day, in this modern era. He's so important in a universe, especially on the main rosters, where they're very much content and calling just always the same moves, trying to push the storylines instead of pushing the in-ring stories. Exception made to Mauro Ranallo, but he's unique in what he does. And what he does, what he brings to the table in his commentary role is it's second to none. And I'm sure he'll have a fantastic, incredible influence on a whole bunch of youngsters coming up, because there's, if you can put Percy Watkins on commentary, put him in there as a color guy, then you don't expect much out of your teams then. Nothing wrong with him. He's a very good, he communicates well. Let's start talking about NXT UK, shall we, before this goes any further, and then I get accused of things. We're going to start with episode 23. Again, we got 2 hours this week. Will it continue with the 2-hour format going forward after TakeOver? to a certain extent, like I enjoy NXT UK, but to a certain extent, I kind of hope that they don't. I kind of hope that they bring it back down to an hour because it's saturated right now. The market. The market is a little saturated as far as wrestling goes. The 2 hours of NXT UK, I don't know if it does a great service to it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens after Takeover. I wouldn't be angry if they shaved it back down to an hour. I think they shaved it back down to just an hour. I think it would do it just fine. All right. Let's get on with it. Episode 23, Jamie Ahmed and Dan Maloney versus started off the evening against Kenny Williams and Amir Jordan. Zach Gibson on social media recently told us the people out on the Twitter, not to sleep on this Jamie Ahmed guy. That he said, a guy to look out for, that he's extremely talented. Well, we have yet to see exactly what he can do, because right now he is in enhancement positions. Not much. He hasn't had much room to stretch his legs, but we'll see. We'll see. And because right now, if you're teamed up with Dan Maloney, who's not a bad wrestler, but right now, he has jabroni written all over him. Ahmed and Jordan begin. They lock up. Jordan counters out of a wrist lock, and they work the arm. Williams then tags in. There's a leg drop on Ahmed's arm. Gets covered, but only for 2. Rolling splash by Jordan, and then another cover, again, only for 2. Jordan comes in with a flying crossbody, but Maloney distracts Jordan. That allows Ahmed to drape him over the top rope. Running lariat by Ahmed. Covers Jordan. Again, only gets 2. Maloney comes in with triple suplexes. He hits 2 half Nelson suplexes and then a butterfly suplex. And that was cool. Because, like I said, what's interesting here is that, Maloney, he's pigeonholed into this enhancement position, but you see him pull out stuff like this, and you're like, wow, okay, I'd like to see this guy go more. That's always fun. He keeps Jordan down with the hammerlock, but eventually Jordan battles back, gets Maloney into a backslide, covers him, gets 2. Jordan reaches Williams for the tag, who comes in, springboard back elbow on Ahmed, kicks to Ahmed and Maloney. Williams fighting both guys off, back elbow off the second turnbuckle. We get a wheelbarrow, a face slam on Ahmed, dives onto Maloney on the outside, and on the inside, Amir Jordan hits a swanton, covers and gets the win, and the boys are really happy to have finally won. Maybe Kenny Williams will start lightening up on Amir Jordan's dancing. These are actually 2 very, very talented guys. And there's a lot of these 2 guys here. What they have to offer, I'm talking about Jordan and Williams, goes beyond the tag division. Both of them are extremely talented. I get that they put them in they put them in a tag team because they needed tag teams. They needed some filler for this tournament that they had leading into the tag team title championship. But as individual competitors, I'd really like them to be able to go off on their own as well. Jordan hasn't had much of a time to shine on NXT UK. Kenny Williams has a reputation that precedes him, and I don't think he's living up to his potential either. We'll see. We'll see. We get a recap of the contract signing from last week. The first historic contract signing between Joe Coffey and Pete Dunne. That's important because the Gallus boys come out to the ring. Very straightforward, somewhat uninspired promo. Joe Coffey basically says, a heel promo where, he says, everybody hates us, but we don't care. The audience actually starts chanting along, no one likes you, which it always gets a chuckle out of me. He says there's only one thing on the agenda. We finally get Gallus versus British Strong Style. That's going to be at the end of the next episode 24. So there's starting to hype for that. Next, we have a press conference with Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm. Okay. I'm starting something in my NXT UK recap. Starting today, I'm going to start counting the number of words that Johnny Saint is allowed to say in an episode of NXT UK. Because since he arrived, they've been pulling his lines and reducing the amount of stuff he actually gets to say on air, which is why they paired him with Sid Scala, because at least Scala can hold a script and he can stay on course without looking confused. So from this point on, I am starting a running tally. And during this press conference, Johnny Saint got to say 6 words. He got to say 6 words, not just during this press conference, but during the entire episode. Johnny Saint's face is like, he just stands there with his lips drooping down. So, press conference. Sid Scala's kind of the moderator. Tony says, even though she's not from the UK, she's called the UK her home. And what about Rhea Ripley here? She's Australian, but she keeps coming and going. She has no real roots. She hasn't planted any roots. One of the journalists asks Rhea Ripley, what will you do to beat Toni Storm? And Ripley says, what a terrible question. You think I'm going to tell you right here in front of her my strategy? You got to appreciate that. A good heel, there's nothing better than a heel who's right. That's exactly what happened here. So, it's standard fare. It's standard fare until it's standard fare until they face off with each other. They stare each other down. They almost come to grips, and that's where Johnny Saint steps in. Says, "Come on now, ladies, stand back." That's essentially whenever they do let Johnny Saint talk, that's usually what he says now. It's like, back off, or, get back into my office. I think the character of Johnny Saint is hilarious. I really, really do. And it's unintentionally funny, which makes it funny. We get a promo package for Ligero, who's apparently he's taken offense to Joseph Connors' recent promos that he's been cutting about shiny new toys and being lied at and all that stuff. Apparently, Ligero is challenging Joseph Connors to a match, and we're going to get it in episode 24. Next, we have Isla Dawn versus Zaya Brookside. Zaya Brookside enters the ring. The match starts. She extends a hand, and Isla Dawn shakes it. Bravo! Sportsmanship. Sportswomanship. Some wrist locks to start. They're evenly matched, slipping in and out of wrist locks. Head scissors takedown by Brookside that spikes Dawn's head. She holds the headlock with the legs. That's very nicely done. Dawn eventually gets Zaya into a surfboard position, but Brookside slides out. There's a nice sequence of pinfall combinations, jackknife, crucifixes, roll-ups, victory rolls. Nice long extended sequence, but the last roll through happens when Zaya gets it. The pin begins, but Dawn leans back and reverses the pinning situation so that she is the pin-er and not the pin-e, and beats Zaya Brookside. That's fantastic. Nice short little match here. I thought the reversals were super well done. It was a lot of fun. That was good. Ends with a handshake and a hug between the women. Lots of respect. Baby faces galore on this edition here. We get a hype package for Eddie Dennis and Dave Mastiff, who are going to be pummeling the bejeebus out of each other at TakeOver Blackpool in a no disqualifications environment. Dennis says that the reason why he went after Mastiff isn't about jealousy. It's just that people talk about Mastiff and they say he's the star, he's the killer, but he's not the killer. Dennis is the killer, and he promises to put Mastiff down, which is a dog reference because a Mastiff is a breed of dog, big dog. You put the dog down, he's gonna kill him because he's the killer. And then Ginny attacked Isla Dawn, and that's good. Why is it good? Because we need to see more Ginny. She needs to be positioned strong on this card. She needs to be pushed to the moon. She's going to be a valuable, very, very valuable asset to the women's division. She's fantastic. I mean, if they want to push on forward with Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm after TakeOver, I'm completely fine if Ginny gets tossed into that mix and it becomes a triple threat situation, a triangle of grapplers. It's not exactly a love triangle. Kristen in the chat says, I really don't like Isla Dawn. It's not that I don't like her. I don't get it. I don't get her. I haven't seen that thing that I know a lot of people are sold on her. But in comparison, if you want to compare apples to oranges, like witchy apples to big hairy oranges. Bear with me now. I wasn't sold on Dave Mastiff either. Right? A lot of people were very, very high on Dave Mastiff, but only recently through his feud with his match, especially that first match he had with Eddie Dennis, I'm starting to understand why people are high on him. I'm starting to get it. So, I'm pretty sure the same thing will happen with Isla Dawn. I hope. Next, we have Damian Weir versus Jordan Devlin. The Irish Ace has graced us with his presence again this week. Start with the test of strength. This is the quintessential showcase match because Damian Weir got not much offense in, whereas Jordan Devlin, though, get a test of strength to start with that ends with a kick from Devlin on Weir. Wrist lock submissions follow. He flips a Weir. I'm sorry. In my notes, I wrote weird. So that just makes me chuckle. He flipped Weir over, holding onto the wrist locks and just starts twisting the arm. Delivers a European uppercut. He's working on the arm again. Starts trash talking Weir. You're not in my league. I'm just having fun here. There's no lies detected here. This is true. However, this fires Weir up. But no. Devlin's having none of that. Uranagi's him for the trouble, followed by his standing moonsault. Covers. Gets two. Hits a backbreaker over the knee, but holds Weir over the knee. Holds him there and starts pushing down on the chin. Breaking the neck back. It's a nice submission. I liked it. Follows it up with a bow and arrow. Weir reverses out of a fireman's carry into a roll-up. And that takes Devlin by surprise. He kicks out at 2, but he wasn't impressed with that. Devlin is mad. Weir enziguris him. But Devlin stops the momentum real fast with a kick from the apron. Over the top rope with a cutter. My boy. Belly to back suplex. Ireland's called, and that is that. Jordan Devlin is your winner. I think Jordan Devlin has only lost one match since he debuted in NXT UK. I think he only lost to Pete Dunne. Not a bad way to lose him. Not a bad guy to lose a match against. And it was a hell of a match. So he wants an interview. He's looking for Rotzi, and he's going around and eventually grabs a microphone. I want to point something out here. Just real quick. A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that that I really like Rotzi as an interview guy because he looks like no other backstage interviewer that in any brand right now. With the hair, his tight-fitting clothes, very charismatic, eloquent. I think he does a good job. But with the death of Gene Okerlund this week, and everyone started talking about him and how great his contributions were, one of the things that started popping up a lot, and I know Sean talked about this on the Fightful recaps, and they're absolutely right as well. Everyone who's mentioned this is absolutely right. Gene Okerlund was good at what he did because of how he interacted and how different he was from anyone else who was doing interviews and cutting promos. Today, the interview is just have a microphone and stand back. Gene was part of the promo. His job was to get the people over, and he helped get the wrestlers over. Whereas now, they just book you for your looks. Anyone can do it. Any pretty face can just stand there with a microphone. There's no real interaction. There's no back and forth. It's just like the setup, the pitch, and you just hope for the guy for the dude there to swing it. Now, Rotzi isn't doing Gene Okerlund levels type of interaction, but just the fact that he's not like one of your typical WWE backstage interviewers, that you actually start, you feel that there's a certain personality to him, that people are calling him by his first name. Where is he? So he adds a color, a certain level of a little something different, unique, that strictly belongs to the brand here. Like, he's already standing out just by his overall appearance, just by the way he carries himself. Be very, very interesting to see how far they go with this guy, because you can tell there's a personality here that's waiting to crack through. We'll see. So anyway, back to Jordan Devlin. He grabs a mic because Rodsy's nowhere to be found. He grabs a mic and he starts off, but he's cut off by Travis Banks. Now, if I didn't like Travis Banks, I'd probably be pissed that someone came out to interrupt Devlin. But Travis Banks comes out, he hits the ring, and Devlin hits the bricks. He did that. Banks, actually, Devlin had called Banks out last week. You remember that, calling him a fraud. And Banks is ready for the challenge. She says, "Let's do it now, Devlin." Devlin's like, I ain't going to the ring. I just wrestled. What the hell is Travis Banks thinking? Going to the ring and challenging a guy who just went through a match. Come on! Main event time. Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster versus Zach Gibson and James Drake, Winner of this match will face Mustache Mountain at TakeOver Blackpool in the finals of the NXT UK Tag Team Title Tournament. Marcel Bartel and Fabian Aichner, who have issues with Mandrews and Webster, are barred from ringside, folks. Barred from ringside. Andrews and Drake start off. Gibson distracts early on, and that allows James Drake to take Andrews out. They double team him in the corner. Gibson cheap shots Flash Morgan Webster. In the meantime, electric chair with a flying clothesline on Andrews. Drake covers for 2.9 this early on, folks. But the heels were all over Andrews, trying to go really, really quickly for the quick win. I like the way this match started a lot. They do the over-the-knee, backbreaker knee drop from the outside, that double team thing that they being Drake and Gibson. Been doing that over the past few weeks. Gibson gets Andrews back in the ring, covers him, but only gets 2. Andrews fights back, but eats the patented Gibson double chops to the throat. And they cut to Webster, extending his hand to tag in his friend who's in pain. And Flash Morgan Webster has the best sad faces in all of wrestling right now. Drake plants Andrews with a forearm to the neck. The heels continue to work him down. Short arm clothesline by Gibson, covers for 2. It's funny, just this week I was thrown into a conversation where people were talking about the best DDT in the business, and then Jake Roberts came up. Best DDTs of all time. Jake Roberts comes up, and then someone says, you know what else Jake Roberts was really good at? What? Short arm clotheslines. Why does no one do short arm clotheslines anymore? And I'm like, dude, Okada's finishing move is a short arm clothesline. Trent Seven's finishing move is a short arm clothesline. Look, I just Zach Gibson right here. Andrews avoids double teams to get the hot tag finally to Webster, who moonsaults to take out both heels. Triple drop kicks on Drake. Somersault senton on Gibson to the outside. That was another nice move. Then Webster hits his Bubba O'Reilly Buster, the double underhook sit out face buster. This was a great hot tag by Flash Morgan Webster. He's really, that was a really, really great hot tag. He worked a really good pace for a good while here. Webster fights off the heels. Gibson tries to get back in control. Sets Webster up on the top rope, twists his injured shoulder, but Flash Morgan Webster flips out of the ring, taking Gibson down with him. Andrews is back in action here. He hits a tope con hilo into a Hurricane Rana on Gibson. Hits the 450 splash, the assisted 450 splash. Andrews does. Covers Gibson for 2.9. Andrew avoids the Shankly gates, but eats a ticket to ride. He gets covered, but kicks out at 2.9 as well. Gibson tags Drake, Double team electric chair flying clothesline attempt. They do that. They try for it again. It leads to Andrews hitting a Hurricane Rana on Drake, having him fly onto Gibson. A senton by Webster, inverted spike Rana with a super kick by the faces. Webster covers Drake, but Gibson punches Andrews, who falls onto Webster to break up the pin. That was nuts. Andrews hits a helter-skelter on the ramp. Andrews eats a helter-skelter on the ramp by Gibson. And in the meantime, in the ring, Drake rolls up Webster, who kicks out, realizes he's alone in the ring, and he's caught by Drake, and he ends up taking the double team ticket to ride. Gibson and Drake are going to Blackpool to fight Mustache Mountain. Going to be a lot of fun. That concludes episode 23. Episode 24 now, Ligero versus Joseph Connors. This was kind of a showcase match for Ligero, which was kind of weird because they're trying to build Connors. The match was fine in and about itself. There was nothing bad about it, but Joseph Connors is not drawing any heat right now. Okay, they're trying to build his character, try to make him identifiable to the audience, so that there is something to latch onto to dislike this guy, but it's just not working right now. And I find his in-ring work is very okay. Ligero is really interesting. He's a good high flyer. I find, in my very, very personal opinion, Mark Andrews and Flash Webster are somewhat better than him. They're smoother in moments. There's a lot of back and forth in this match between both guys. We get another short arm clothesline here by Connors. I should point this out to those Twitter guys on Ligero. He hits also a slingshot suplex. Ligero battles out of a chin lock, and he with some chops, a back body drop, hits a fireman's carry slam, covers Connors for 2. He goes for sliced bread, but it's countered. Connors hits a double stomp on Ligero's chest from the second turnbuckle. Ligero battles back, though, and hits his springboard DDT for the win. I was expecting Connors to win. Maybe they're going to drag this feud out, but right now, this is pretty average. We'll see where we go with this. Backstage, we have Rodsy with the grizzled young veterans. Drake says they deserve the shot at TakeOver Blackpool because they're undefeated. Gibson says it's because they're the best tag team in the world, soon to be recognized as Liverpool's #1 would say. Then we get a Dave Mastiff promo, which was essentially an answer to Eddie Dennis's promo from the previous episode. That'll be interesting. Travis Banks is next against Tyson T-Bone. Speaking about guys that aren't all that exciting in the ring. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh. Tyson T-Bone is joined by his slapdash partner, Saxon Huxley. Huxley distracts early on the outside, allowing Tyson T-Bone to toss Banks across the ring. Banks fights back with some body shots, some knees, a pump knee, shotgun drop kick, sends T-Bone into the corner. That allows Banks to hit his springboard double stomp from the second turnbuckle right onto T-Bone's chest. And then Devlin's music hits. But at first, you look at who comes out at the top of the ramp. Who comes out at the top of the ramp? Is it Jordan Devlin? No, it's Travis Banks, dressed up with his all in New Zealand gear, with his New Zealand bandana over his nose. And well, wait, Travis Banks is already in the ring. How can he be up on the ramp? It's Jordan Devlin dressed up as Travis Banks. What mind games. Honestly, this was kind of lame. It was a little lame. But it distracts Banks. T-Bone tries to take advantage of it, but can't. He eats some yes kicks, a kick to the back of the head, a shining wizard, and then the slice of heaven for this squashy squish squash match that Travis Banks was able to conquer and win. Devlin hits the ring, trying to get a fight here going, but gets driven out, avoiding the slice of heaven. And we are getting them at Blackpool. The final match to be announced to round out this card. Travis Banks versus Jordan Devlin at Blackpool. Are you kidding me? This is the sleeper match of the night. John Baez in the chat says about Jordan Devlin, he's a true master of disguise. That should be his new gimmick. The Irish master of disguise. Next, we get our big main event. British strong style, the boys, the big strong boys versus Gallus, the big strong Scotsman. They're Scottish, right? This was hyped up. This was hyped up proper, and it is a big deal. It's a big deal. You know what I like here is how NXT UK booked the combination of the three guys, of the three British strong style guys together. It becomes a big deal. It truly was put forward that way with all the weeks of build-up. And you could tell the audience was behind them. Well, of course, they're the stars of the show, inarguably, excuse me, the stars of this show. This brand is being built around Pete Dunne. Tyler Bate coming in a close second, though, man. People like themselves some Tyler Bate and his. There was some speculation as to Buddy Murphy earlier this week on 205 Live. He set out a challenge, an open challenge to anyone who meets the 205-pound limit to come fight him next Tuesday, regardless of who they may be. So that reeks of interpromotions, right? Bringing someone in from another brand. And we were talking, a few of us were talking, as well, maybe it'll be Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate did do some stuff on 205 Live. I think it was last year. But man, it seems to me Bate has put on some weight. Like, I think his thighs in and about themselves, I think just the thighs weigh 50 pounds each. I'm not sure he legitimately is under 205 anymore. I kind of doubt Buddy Murphy is, but let's not start a controversy. Tyler Bate starts off against Joe Coffey. There's some test of strengths to begin, but we are at a stalemate. You know, they want to put over the fact that Joe Coffey is a big, strong boy himself, but man, Tyler Bate, I think I said that last week. You know, it's like when it's sort of cliche to talk about how strong Tyler Bate is because we say it every match he's in. He does this one thing where you're like, oh my God, this guy's so strong. It's exactly like when you watch an Okada match and you see Okada do a drop kick. You're like, oh my God, what a beautiful drop kick. Yes. Yes, that's what you do. So we get the test of strength. Joe Knucklelocks Baked down to the mat, who bridges so as to not have his shoulders pinned down. But Coffey knocks out his legs that he was using to support the bridge. So then follows a sequence of Tyler Bate pushing out of situations where still holding the knuckle locks. Coffey pushes his arms down to try and get the pin. Lots of strength and endurance here by Bate, who bridges back up, starts to stand back up, and Bate tries to take Coffey down, but he can't. Coffey though gets a knee and gets a knee in and puts Bate into an arm lock. Bate gets out of it. Drop kick follows, and there's a stalemate where all six guys hit the ring and stare each other down. Wolfgang then comes in, and Tyler Bate tags Trent in over on the British strong style side. Wolfgang runs the ropes, shoulder block 7 down. 7 runs the ropes himself, flying body press, and then that leads into another stare down as all 6 guys enter the ring and grumble at each other. So next, Mark Coffey tags himself in, which means that Pete Dunne is going to be tagged in. They lock straight up. Mark with a headlock on Dunne. Dunne whips him into the ropes and takes him down with a clothesline. And everyone is in the ring again. And they don't stare at each other. They start fighting. And the referee is trying to push everyone out. But everyone's clubbing each other. No one's listening to the ref. He's not disqualifying anyone. What is this? New Japan? The Strong Style boys toss the Gallus dudes onto the outside, and they stand tall in the ring. Mark Coffey is back in. He runs in and eats a drop toe hold by Pete. Dunne starts working the fingers of Mark Coffey. Teases doing the rolling surfboard, where he locks his legs behind Coffey, who's flat on the mat. So Dunne starts to tease the rolling surfboard, where he's from a standing position and rolls back. And he starts, but then he just shrugs it off, and then instead just slams his feet onto Mark's legs. 7 is in next, scoops up Mark Coffey, covers him, only for 2. Tags Tyler Bate in, who comes in with a senton off of 7's shoulders, covers Coffey again, but only gets 2. Mark then finally gets a suplex on Bate after Bate accidentally runs into Wolfgang, who was on the apron on the other side. Joe Coffey and Wolfgang then work together to work Bate down, cutting him off from the rest of the team. Joe short arm whips Bate into the corner twice, then gets him into a butterfly submission. Not a butterfly lock, mind you, which is another submission move that I find is stupid. On the same level as a bear hug. This was not a butterfly lock. It was a butterfly submission. Joe tries to lift Tyler Bate up, who resists with a suplex, but he gets dragged down to the mat nonetheless. Joe gets a nerve hold on him. Wolfgang comes in next, gut wrenches Bate, but Bate spins around and gets the tag over to Trent Seven. And Seven comes in with those, them chops. Back body drop on Wolfgang. He rolls out of the ring. Seven dives onto him. Mark Coffey then comes in to interfere, but gets a dragon suplex for his trouble. He even tries to do one on Wolfgang, who blocks. And instead, Mark Coffey gets back up and waistlocks Seven. Wolfgang is on the turnbuckle, flies off, Seven escapes, and Wolfgang lands on Mark Coffey. Ha ha ha! Sit out power slam by Seven follows, covers, but only gets 2. Seven gets tossed out of the ring, who hits the barricade kind of hard. The Gallus boys distract the ref while Joe tosses Trent Seven into the steps. He gets back in. A spear by Wolfgang follows, covers, but only gets 2. Mark Coffey's and next start working on Seven in their corner. Joe comes in with a front face lock to wear Seven down. Mark Coffey tags in and comes in and goes into the front face lock again. Seven tries to fight off a bit, but Wolfgang holds his tights in a very discreet way. The referee doesn't see him, so he can't flee to his corner. He holds on to the tights as Joe Coffey strikes Trent Seven down and then gets him into a front face lock again. I'm like, well, what's with the front face lock, guys? Especially that sequence where Joe Coffey's in the ring with the front face lock, tags Mark in, who comes in and puts on the front face lock. I'm like, yee. Wolfgang gets tagged in, hits a double axe handle off the turnbuckle. Seven tries to get to his corner, but he can't. He just can't. However, he gets on the top rope with Joe Coffey and superplexes him off. And finally gets the hot tag to the bruiserweight, who enziguris Wolfgang. Belly to back suplex on Mark Coffey, followed by the X-Plex. Gets a knee bar on Wolfgang. And he's in trouble. He's trying to get to his corner. Tags Mark Coffey, who gets in with an elbow drop. But Dunn is ready for it. And as the elbow drop lands, Dunn gets him in a triangle. He's able to tag Wolfgang in, who goes up top for a moonsault, but Dunn sees that coming too, and that allows him to put an armbar on Wolfgang. Wolfgang lifts him up, though, eventually, and plants him with a suplex facebuster. Dunn tags to Bate, and on the Gala side, Joe Coffey comes in. But Bate is a house of fire. Flying European uppercut off the turnbuckle, running European uppercuts in the corner. Coffey's springboard body press misses. But the running shooting star press by Bate works. He covers Joe Coffey, but only gets 2. Coffey catches Bate in a wheelbarrow, spins Bate around. Bate rolls through the situation and kicks out. Bate says, yeah, you want to spin? You want to spin, boy? Well, Bate gets Coffey up in a fireman's carry, and the airplane spin begins. This airplane spin lasted, and to my count, 36 full seconds. I do not know how those... They probably didn't have much lunch before starting this match because it made me nauseous. That was a cuckoo crazy. It actually got a standing ovation from the crowd. Tyler Driver 97 is avoided. Bate eats a headbutt for his trouble, but Bate knocks Coffee down with a right fist. Joe tags out to Mark, who comes in and hits an enziguri to Trent Seven's arm. Trent Seven hits the 7-star lariat, but can't pin because his arm is hurt because of one enziguri to his arm. That kind of weird. The British Strong Style triple team Mark Coffey. Cover him, but Wolfgang breaks the pin up. Bop and bang on Wolfgang by Tyler Bate. He rolls out of the ring. Bate dives to the outside onto Wolfgang. Dunn kicks Mark Coffey, but Joe Coffey distracts Dunn by flashing the UK title. Ooh, such heel tactics. That allows Dunn to get rolled up, but only for 2. Joe is in, hits a jackknife powerbomb on Dunn, covers him, but it's Trent Seven who breaks up the pin. Seven backhands Wolf to the outside. Mark punches Seven to the outside. Bate slingshot lariats Mark to the outside, but eats a pop-up uppercut by Joe Coffey. That leaves Coffey and Dunn in the ring, and they start laying into each other. They keep at it. Exhaustion sets in. Dunn hits an elbow to the face. Runs the ropes. Pounced. He's pounced by Coffey, who charges back as if he's trying to do a spear, but Dunn counters with a knee to the head. Dunn hits the bitter end on Joe Coffey, but Wolfgang is the legal man. Driving elbow drop on a fallen Dunn follows. Bate is tagged in. Hurricane Rana on Wolfgang, and everyone is brawling. They brawl on the outside until Bate goes to the top rope and corkscrews off the top onto everyone. Everyone. The ending comes when Joe and Tyler Bate are back in the ring. Joe avoids the Tyler Driver. Bate ducks a couple of all the best for the bells lariats, but Joe Coffey gets one of them on. He can't avoid them all. Clobbers Bate with one of his finishing lariats, and that's it. That's the pin. That's the win. This is a good match. It was some solid stuff. A couple of iffy decisions, weird psychology by certain moments, but it was fun. It was fun. I kind of get the impression, the feeling that right now, as far as the British Strong Style guys go, Gallus in its current incarnation is not, they don't have that top tier level of wrestling where everyone can shine. Kind of felt that in a couple of occasions that Trent Seven and Tyler Bate were sort of carrying some dudes. Not as much Joe Coffey as Mark and Wolfgang, but it was a fun match. Great way to lead us into Blackpool with Joe Coffey winning. Well, is Joe Coffey going to win at Blackpool this week? Well, how about a quick overview of my predictions? I would say, if you may, I'm calling in the Trevor in the Trevor Banks Jordan Devlin match. I think Jordan Devlin's going to win. I think right now Devlin is being positioned as a serious top tier contender. I think I think a match with Travis Banks is going to be fantastic. Banks is going to be extraordinary as well. Sleeper. This is going to be the sneaky one. This has absolutely the potential to be match of the night. As far as Eddie Dennis and Dave Mastiff goes, I think Dave Mastiff is going to win this match. This is another guy they're positioning really, really strong that they see great things in. So I think this one is going to win. I think Mustache Mountain are not going to be your first NXT UK championship. championship title match guys? No. I think Gibson and Drake are going to do it. I think they're going to pull a swerve on us. I mean, my heart says the strong style, the British strong style guys, but I'd really like the heels to get the titles here. I'd really, really like it. As for the women's NXT UK match, Toni Storm challenging Rhea Ripley. I think Ripley retains. And for the UK championship, I also think that Pete Dunne is going to retain. It's they're this not at their first inaugural event, at a showcase moment, at a very at a milestone of the UK brand so soon. No, I don't think Pete Dunne is going to drop the title. They're building the brand around him. He's the face of the company. He's the backbone of it right now. Or the brand, I should say, not the company, but the brand. They are not going to take that away from him just yet. If you would like to hear my more detailed vision regarding NXT UK, please hop over to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. I was joined by Daily DDT writer Laura Morrow to drop our predictions. We talked a lot about that. British wrestling in general was a lot of fun, so you can do that if you feel like it. Otherwise, come and see myself and Kristen Ashley this Saturday, immediately after TakeOver Blackpool on Fightful.com. We're going to be doing the post show there, guys. It's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to the show. I hope it's great, because I really feel like the NXT brand could use a really exciting show. Guys, gals, thank you all so much for joining, taking the time to watch this show. Thank you for supporting Fightful through Fightful Select. It really does mean a lot. We'll see you next time.